Tag Mikel Arteta and Arsenal below, you never know, they might watch this video. Porto Arsenal match review, what a game. Last minute, Arsenal to concede a goal, going to the second leg, 1-0 down. It's going to get very tricky and very difficult. In possession, they had the combination of White-Rice, where Ben White would invert from right back to leave this space vacated to allow Odegaard to drop in here and get the ball. And Havertz and Trossard would interchange positions. Now, for a lot of the game, they actually did dominate. Arsenal, for a very, very long time, they haven't been in the Champions League knockout stage. And to go to Porto in a very, very tough and hostile environment, to play out from Porto's high extreme pressure in the first few minutes of the game, it showed guts, courage and bravery from Arsenal. And what they did, which is very rare, is put Trossard as a false nine in the 4-man midfield. So they ended up playing with 5 in the middle like this, with Martinelli and Saka very high. So Havertz was in the left pocket, Odegaard was in the right pocket, and Trossard was actually slightly deeper, which allowed Arsenal to overload the middle with 5 players, allowing Martinelli and Saka to be the guys high up the pitch. It's almost like Brighton's box shape. With Brighton, they play with a back 4, 2 pivots, 2 attacking mids, with the 2 wingers high up the pitch. So Arsenal have replicated that, but they still kept their 4-man midfield with an extra body by playing a back 3, which is so interesting. It did work for the majority of the game, however, Trossard in a big game, he did not impose himself again. We can all see how good Trossard is with his technicality, with his ball retention, with his proficient qualities in tight areas. But tonight, I don't think he played the way he could have played. And I think instead of Havertz, if they played Fabio Vieira in this left centre midfield role, it would have helped Arsenal a lot. With ball progression, ball retention, being able to drive from deep areas just like Odegaard does here. And I think at the moment Arsenal need to solve this conundrum, because if they don't, it's almost like they're too focused on Odegaard here to do this job, to do this job, to do this job, neglecting this side, allowing Martinelli to do a lot of the work on his own. And that's where Arsenal need to become an all-rounded team and really focus on who needs to play here more consistently. Which is why I personally think Jorginho should play here, Rice could play here, drop deeper and play. That's a story for another day. And Porto are renowned for their aggressive press and also their very compact, disciplined shape. Porto had their very compact 4-4-2 shape and did not allow Arsenal to play the way they could have through the middle. They allowed the passes to go wide and then they aggressively pressed. Often Martinelli would get the ball and he would be facing a 1v2 situation. Kiwior hesitated at overlapping or underlapping. On another day, if he had helped out Martinelli more and allowed maybe Rice to drop in to cover, I think they could have used the left side more often. And I would say Saka had a good game, but once again Porto nullified the threat of Arsenal. They didn't allow Odegaard to get the ball in the pocket, so Odegaard ended up dropping deeper to get the ball. Was playing more as a ball retainer today, more than a destroyer of the opposition. And Trossard was nullified because he couldn't find the right spaces as the false 9. And big credit goes to Conceição, the manager of Porto, for making sure that this midfield 4 stayed compact, not allowing this midfield 5 to run the game. And Ben White is good at inverting into midfield, which he has done recently. A few passes he sprayed off the pitch, and at times Arsenal needed control. In the 65th, 70th minute of the game, when they needed to control the game, they tried to play the passes to break the line, when actually that moment in time calls for control, which is where Jorginho, with that experience, would come in and calm the game down to then play those line-breaking passes. A few times I just don't think they had the game management to judge the game state and play the way the game asked them to play. Odegaard will drop in this area just to get the ball because of how compact Porto are, but when he got the ball, Ben White wasn't going to make this run forward to open up space, was he? And that's where you need a more dynamic pivot operating next to Rice, whether that's inverting another player, maybe Julian Timber whenever he comes back from injury. Trossard and Havertz, they didn't have the same effect as they should have, which is why Odegaard was nullified. Martinelli, Saka were nullified by the fact that Arsenal could not break through this very compact shape. And it's not the end of the world. I can see them definitely turning it around. It's just, I think they need to address this role and this role. Jesus is a big miss, so if they want to play with the false 9, Trossard needs to impose himself more in the big games. If not, I'm looking at someone like Havertz playing here, Fabio Vieira here, and Odegaard here. Vieira, Havertz, Odegaard, White and Rice. Or you play Rice, Jorginho, White, Odegaard, Havertz. Something like that, just to make sure that you have the cover in the right areas. And more importantly, judging the game. The game state called for control at certain periods of time, but Arsenal tried to play the risky pass when they actually should have played the safe pass. And when they played the safe pass, maybe they could have made things happen. And I think that misinterpretation of the game state led to their 1-0 loss, which I think they need to turn around in the second leg. But what do you think? Let me know. Peace.